Boxing's stacked welterweight division looks to become the center of attention once again as Errol Spence Jr. takes on Yordenis Ugas in a unification bout at the AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. The fight is scheduled for April the 16th and has already sparked discussion amongst the boxing community. Before we dive into this one, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. Since turning professional back in 2012, Errol Spence has continued to shine within the welterweight division with some impressive performances over accomplished names.
All 3 rounds, Eric Raskin unofficially scoring it for Spence and going down in Jerry.
You could argue that Spence's toughest test early on in his career came in his first world championship bout at welterweight against Britain's Kell Brook. Spence traveled to Brook's backyard for the fight and put on an impressive display, earning himself a stoppage victory over Brook in the 11th round.
It is all over, and Errol Spence Jr. from the Lone Star State.
After becoming IBF world champion in the Kell Brook fight, Spence would then go on to not only make a handful of successful defenses of his title at welterweight, but would earn the WBC belt in the process as well. But unlike most other undefeated young world champions, Spence has fought some of the most renowned names within the division to get to where he is today. Up at welterweight, Spence has beaten some of the division's highly ranked with wins over Danny Garcia, Mikey Garcia, Shawn Porter, and Kell Brook. After a tragic car crash that threatened to derail Errol Spence's career in October of 2019, the American would make a full recovery and be back defending his titles in the ring only 14 months later. In December of 2020, Spence would defend his WBC and IBF welterweight titles against former multiple world champion Danny Garcia. Despite a late push by Garcia, Spence managed a comfortable unanimous decision win and held on to both titles.
The truth, Errol Spence Jr.
Now on April 16th, Spence will make a return to his hometown in over a year to put on a show for the people of Texas. But who is his opponent, Yordenis Ugas?
He has his talent and I have my talent. But we both are good body punchers.
It's gonna be a great fight, a tough fight against Spence, and I'm just working hard towards that goal. You know, whenever it happens, wherever it happens, I'm gonna be ready.
Ugas is a Cuban boxer who currently holds the WBA championship within the welterweight division. His record stands at 31 fights, 27 wins, 12 coming by way of knockout, and 4 losses. In comparison to Spence, Ugas has a somewhat limited record when talking about victories over notable opponents within the division. However, in his last outing, Ugas beat one of the greatest fighters this generation has seen. After being drafted in as a late replacement for Errol Spence, Yordenis Ugas took to the ring to face Manny Pacquiao on the 21st of August last year. On that night, Ugas upset the script and put on a convincing display against the Filipino, earning himself a unanimous decision over Manny Pacquiao in Las Vegas.
We only had 2 weeks of training, but I listened to my corner and it all worked out.
Making a hard time in the ring, making adjustment about his style. I think that's the problem to me.
As of yet, it's fair to say that Ugas hasn't proven himself as one of the standout welterweights despite his world champion status. But could Yordenis pull off another upset come the 16th of April? Let's take a look at how both fighters could match up on the night.
You know Ugas very well. Do you think he wins that fight?
He has a strong possibility, man. I think people overlook him a lot, but he has a lot of experience. He has a lot of skills.
Since Errol Spence has started to face tougher tests within the division, he has had to show a new side to his character and to his boxing arsenal. In his 2 most recent contests against Shawn Porter and Danny Garcia, both bouts in which Spence won via points, there have been times when Spence has been forced to fight on the inside and has been called upon to show his grit when going into the later rounds. Despite it being scrappy at times, Spence has shown his ability and technicality against accomplished, experienced opponents operating at the top end of the division. Similarly, Ugas has fought some impressive opponents at welterweight. Despite losing a split decision to Shawn Porter back in 2019, Ugas made a good account of himself on the night, taking center ring and establishing a sharp, precise jab to good effect early on.
Yordenis, using that inside fighting style, he's cover, punch, cover, punch. There were moments where he was defensive, then there was moments where he was defensive counter, and then there was moments where he was punch right back with you, you know?
This is also something we saw in his most recent contest against Manny Pacquiao.
It was competitive. It was reasonably close. And I think we believe the right man won this fight.
I saw him ready for everything that Pacquiao was going to come with offensively and defensively. He kept Pacquiao guessing all night.
Like most Cuban fighters, Ugas possesses great technicality and movement. The sharp jab and the ring generalship of Ugas could be something that causes Spence a problem early on. Errol will know that if Ugas gets into a rhythm and begins to land punches from the jab, it could turn out to spell a long night for the American. However, Spence also possesses a great jab and has slick footwork both defensively and offensively.
Well, it's a tough one for Spence because coming off of a surgery and all that, we don't know how he'll react, his body react from actual fight. So
even though both fighters are very technical, this could also turn into an inside grappling battle for center ring. However the fight plays out, it's sure to be entertaining for as long as it lasts. Considering the fight has significant implications for the rest of the welterweight landscape, what would a victory or defeat mean for the fighters involved? If the script were to go according to plan and the hometown favorite in Spence was to be victorious over Ugas on April 16th, he would then have the IBF, the WBC, and the WBA welterweight titles to his name.
Errol wants you to throw with him. Errol wants to punch in between your punches. Errol's strong, and they both guys believe in their power.
He said that he got Ugas, that if Ugas goes in really good condition and he has a really good, Ugas has a really good chin, that if he goes in, he's gonna beat him.
No problem. Easy, Pence.
I've seen Errol punch, step around, punch, be defensive, get around, things like that. Errol Spence wins that fight.
This could potentially set him up for a huge undisputed welterweight fight against one of boxing's greatest fighters at the moment, Terrence "Bud" Crawford. But aside from any plans after, it would be another impressive name Spence could add to his growing resume. A defeat in Texas for Spence is almost unthinkable. Not only would it be a shock losing to Yordenis Ugas, but it would certainly derail any hopes he had of becoming undisputed in the short term.
I'm getting ready to fight the best version of himself. He's still number 1 or number 2 in the division, and I consider him one of the best in boxing overall.
A victory for Ugas would skyrocket his profile and open him up to once-in-a-lifetime opportunities he's never seen before. Yordenis has been involved in big fights previously, but nothing like a unification fight on this scale, with so much on the line, against a young, hungry world champion in Spence. Given his age, a defeat for Ugas could spell his end operating at the top of the welterweight division. What do you think? Has Ugas got the potential to pull off another upset in Arlington, Texas? If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already.